For joining us. Thank you for joining us. I want to welcome you to the Galveston Brazoria ISD January Lunch and Learn entitled The Path to the Perfect Career for People with Disabilities. This meeting is being sponsored by Consolidated Planning Group, and Allison Scarborough will introduce our presenters.
Thanks so much for having us back again. It seems like it has been a long time since we've been with you guys, but it's always a pleasure to be here. So I am absolutely excited today on the topic that we're going to be talking about today. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, Consolidated Planning Group is a holistic special needs financial planning firm. We do a lot of webinars on a pretty regular basis on topics that are surrounding individuals with disabilities, families that have loved ones with disabilities or special needs. So today, our topic is kind of, working, what about working? What do we need to be, thinking about as far as a career path for individuals with disabilities? And so I am excited to be partnered with Workforce Solutions. Again, if you've attended some of our webinars in the past, we talk about Workforce Solutions. We talk about Texas Workforce Commission. We talk about vocational rehab. Some of you guys may have heard summer earn and learn and pre-ETs, all these other little terms in the working community for individuals with disabilities. So today is just, it's going to be a great topic. I'm excited to have Anna Kluth back with us and Crosby Brito here talking about some of the services as well as a tool that they have created to make this process a little bit easier and kind of maybe a little bit more interactive as we're thinking about career options and opportunities for our loved ones. So having said that, from a housekeeping perspective, just so you know, we cannot see you or hear you today, so you're safe there. But we know you're here and we're glad you're here. So you can, as we're going through the presentation, if you will put your questions in the chat box today, I'll be monitoring the chat box and I'll read out those questions to them as we go along, time permitting. But don't be shy, do put your questions. We do want your questions. And so we'll get to just as many as possible. Today's meeting is being recorded. And so later this afternoon, there will be an email that will go out. We will give you a PDF of today's slides, and you'll also get a recording, and you'll also have the contact information for the speakers today. So if you're wondering that is definitely happening. So having said that, thanks so much. And Anna, I'd like to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Allison, and thank you, Edie and Jan. Yes, so my name is Anna Kluth with Workforce Solutions. I'm here along with Crosby Brito, my colleague and counterpart who will be speaking in regards to registered apprenticeships. But we will just go ahead and get right into it. As far as who Workforce Solutions is. And so who we are the Gulf Coast Workforce Board and its operating affiliate Workforce Solutions. We cover 13 counties, so we go as far as Huntsville to Baytown to El Campo and everything in between. That includes over 76 school districts, over 100 charter schools, so we are reaching a lot of people, a lot of youth, a lot of adults, a lot of people with disabilities as well. And we're here to help everybody find a job. We serve individuals, so we help individuals find a job. We have employment counselors at each of our offices who can help with resume training, interview skills. We have different webinars and workshops also. And then we also have adult education and literacy. We also help employers. So they're one of our customers as well. We're trying to collaborate and partner with and find employers who need staffing and employees, excuse me. And so we help fulfill those needs as well. So we're kind of full circle wraparound services. Before I turn it over to Crosby, we were talking beforehand and how it can be confusing. Workforce Solutions, who we are, and then also Texas Workforce Solutions. So I wanted to share a cheat sheet just so that everybody can help you guys understand the difference. And so, can you see this? Is it on my screen correctly? Okay, so vocational rehabilitation, they are this top one. They're under Texas Workforce Solutions, which is also known as Texas Workforce Commission. And so they are a state agency. Everything goes directly between, everything goes through the state, through Austin. They do direct services to individuals with disabilities. They're the ones who have the counselors that are going out to the schools and talking to them. We at Workforce Solutions, we collaborate with Texas Workforce Solutions, Vocational Rehabilitation, but we serve all ability levels, whereas Texas Workforce Solutions is specific to helping and serving individuals with disabilities. So we collaborate and partner a lot. Go ahead, sorry.
Anna, I'm sorry. We have somebody, and I just for the sake of time, I want to make sure it's okay. What state are these services located? So clearly, this is for Texas. But would it be relevant or helpful for an individual that's in another state to participate and hear about this because they have options in their state as well? I just want us to help her.
That might be a good question for Brito or Crosby, sorry. I know the end would, because it's just about the employability tool. So that is kind of across the board. I don't know, registered apprenticeships, Crosby, is that universal?
Yes, registered apprenticeship is nationally recognized. Now, each state is gonna maybe call it a little bit different, or they may have a different setup on how we have it, where Workforce Solutions is the mediator between the state and then the populations and the residents. But registered apprenticeship is relevant nationwide.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I just wanted to share this with everyone, and I will share this with Allison, and she can add it to the recording later on to help serve as a little cheat sheet for you guys. And with that, we will hand it over to Crosby. And there you go.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about registered apprenticeships, what that means, how it can benefit you, your loved one, your children as they apply for different opportunities. And it's something that's it's not marketed. However, a lot of employers will use this in their job postings. They will use this in their job descriptions, yet sometimes we may not know what this means, or we may not know that these things may mean something else aside from a name. So registered apprenticeships are a curriculum. It's a system that's developed by the U.S. Department of Labor. So everything under the Education and Training Administration, when it relates to schools and relates to colleges, are also under the Department of Labor. They just have different divisions. So this is no different. The curriculum, everything that goes into approving registered apprenticeships are really not much different than it would when they're approving a curriculum for an elementary, middle school, high school, college, and so on. And registered apprenticeship combines two different strategies. It combines on-the-job training with classroom instruction. And what that means really to translate is when you go to college, or you go to a whether 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, whatever your program of your choice, you're in a classroom, for lack of a better term, in a classroom for those 2, 3, 4 years, getting that degree. Registered apprenticeship will combine you being in a classroom, but also being on an actual job site. So you are an employee. You could obtain a master's level education and credentials without ever having to pay a single dollar. So unlike a college or traditional school system, instead of you paying for you to be trained or for you to get a credential, you are employed and you're getting that same education while earning those wages. So unlike traditional degrees, kind of like what we talked about earlier, a registered apprenticeship employs the apprentice or employs the student. So they're working, they're an employee, they're learning the craft, they're learning that career while they're on the job, while also going into a classroom setting a couple hours sprinkled throughout the week. So registered apprenticeships have a structured curriculum that requires a minimum of 144 classroom hours per year. So 144 hours is not that much. So they're spending time in the classroom, but the majority of those credits that they're earning towards that degree or that credential is spent while on a job site, which means you're paying for every hour. You're earning a hourly wage for every hour that's counting towards that credit, that's counting towards that degree or that education. Typically, programs will range in about 2,000 hours worth of on-the-job learning or on-the-job training. So in short, you're obtaining education, you're getting a credential, you're getting a degree, but you're working at the same time as you learn that particular field. So who pays for this? The employer pays. Quite simple. The challenges that we're facing, and this is nationwide, and that question is really relevant. This is not a Texas thing. This is not a Houston or Galveston region thing. This is nationwide. So this is available regardless of what state. And that's the wonderful thing about it, that if you obtain a registered apprenticeship credential here in Texas, it is nationally recognized regardless of where you go within the U.S. So that degree, that credential is relevant and you can carry it with you. So the Department of Labor works with the employer to develop a curriculum. Our challenges are quite simple. We don't have enough people that are skilled, that are getting interested in certain fields, which means they're not enrolling in college. They're not going to certain, programs and certain fields because they're not interested in it. But the employer is suffering because they're waiting for the college system to produce graduates for them to hire. But if the college is not producing people, then the employer has nobody to hire. So the employer goes to the Department of Labor and says, this is what I do. Can you help me develop a training curriculum so I can be my own school, I can be my own college. That way I could hire people without any experience and train them as I go. But once they're done, they can get that same credential as if they would have gone to college. These are just some of the examples of registered apprenticeship. Registered apprenticeships began many years ago, and it began in construction. So we've heard probably of unions, we've heard of Teamsters. That's where it began, but that's not where it's limited to. We've grown so much and expanding these opportunities. So you have your construction opportunities as listed below on the left-hand side. But it's gone over to IT, to early child care development centers. It's gone to medical assistants, everything in the dental medical field. Then you have IT as well, graphic designers, computer specialists. The opportunities are on and on. Again, in construction, there's always been a need to produce workers and to produce people that knew how to weld, how to work in HVAC, how to do roofing. So the demand for construction has always been there nationally. You just couldn't get enough people who knew what they were doing, or you didn't have enough people going to college for those type of careers. So employers had to develop these registered apprenticeships. As the years have gone on, we see the same challenge that construction has faced now are being faced in almost every industry. Even for retail and for customer service, there's not really that many programs out there that specialize in customer service, yet we know how important it is for someone to be able to treat a customer right, how to answer specific questions, how to be able to maintain their composure in difficult situations. So even the simplest, or whatever we consider the simplest of positions, require a certain level of education and training, but not everybody's going to want to go to college for that. Not everybody's built to go to college for that. Not everybody's going to want to have the patience to go to college for that. So employers are taking matters into their own hands, to put it that way, and are developing their own programs. And here we listed just a few. In Harris County alone, there's over 360 different registered apprenticeships. So the possibilities are endless, and as the need grows, we'll continue to see new programs being developed where you no longer have to go to college. You can go to an employment opportunity for these.
Crosby, I just wanted to clarify, so we're crystal clear, because the encouraging thing to me about these apprenticeships is these are specifically for individuals that have disabilities. So they're not competing with other folks that don't have disabilities. Is that correct? I mean, these are specifically for disabilities?
Either or. It applies to both. So most employers will have, and again, these are job openings more than anything. These are not just training or classroom opportunities. The important thing is that these are employment openings that employers have. So when it comes to apprenticeships or registered apprenticeships, they will usually have openings that are specific, or they have them reserved for applicants with challenges or disabilities. But they'll also be opened to the general public. So these are general, these are available to everybody. But when it comes to registered apprenticeships, most employers will reserve openings and say, I may have a need to hire 50 people right now, but I'm reserving a certain amount just for applicants who come into that route.
Okay. We actually do have a question in the chat box. It says, I came in a little late. Did we talk about what the IQ level is for some of these openings?
That's going to vary. Again, these are all employer centric. So the employer is going to set those qualifications beforehand.
Okay. And then also, oftentimes we see many folks with disabilities that do come out with a degree, maybe from the university, maybe from the community college, but maybe they've had some challenges finding work in their field, or finding work, or finding employers that will work with an individual with a disability. Can you speak to that group?
Yes, and that's where Anna and I would come in. We have staff that are assigned specifically to help with job search, career exploration. If they're already coming with training and education and they're ready to begin the career, we have staff that would focus on that. Further down the presentation, I'll be talking about a specific, we don't want to call it program because it's an employer incentive. It's a service that is meant for applicants and job seekers who are having challenges finding employers who will fit their specific skill set. So we can help with that, I guess, in short, is what I'm trying to say.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. And on-the-job training, that's a perfect segue, that last question, into on-the-job training. So we've heard about what registered apprenticeship means, or what registered apprenticeship is. A service that Workforce Solutions provides to employers is called on-the-job training. And it's a reimbursement to employers to encourage them and to support them to hire somebody with little to no experience, or somebody who needs additional assistance to get that job or to be able to perform that job. So this is something that you won't have to necessarily know or to tell an employer. We handle all that. But just to always be transparent, to let you know the efforts that we're doing to help increase these opportunities for our residents, we give the employer a 50% reimbursement of the hourly wages. They have to pay $12 or more, and they have to be full-time positions. And we consider full-time 30 hours a week. And all that means is that we tell an employer, look, you have a need for people, you can't fill your openings. If you hire somebody who needs training, who needs a lot more support, who needs more experience in that field. So the employer is very well aware that they're not going to hire somebody who's going to hit the floor running, that knows exactly what they're doing. It's somebody who's going to need more development, hand-holding, to put it that way. We're going to reimburse them. And that encourages an employer to take a chance on somebody who they want to hire, but most of the times they don't always hire who they want to. They hire who they feel is going to be able to perform the job better or do it quicker. So our service called On-the-Job Training is another program that's available where we will encourage employers and we support employers to hire and train somebody who needs a little bit more experience.
Okay, so in case we have some employers on here that want to think about this, and they want to be considered for this program, how do they apply for it? Who do they contact? What do they do? And what's the turnaround time if they do apply to be one of these employers for processing?
Yeah, my contact information will be on the final slide. I can serve as a point of contact, give them more information on the service, on how it works, and we can then do the handoff and get all the paperwork. We manage this on the local level. So we eliminate, for those employers who are on the call today, we will eliminate and reduce all bureaucracy. We know that's the toughest thing of wanting to do something good sometimes comes with a lot of red tape and a lot of paperwork. And Workforce Solutions here at the Gulf Coast Workforce Board, we understand that. And that's the one thing that we want to eliminate and serve you on your terms. The turnaround time can be anywhere between 1 or 2 days to get qualified. And what takes the longest is just finding the applicant and getting the applicant onboarded. So that really will depend on you and your hiring practices. So we're going to work with you and make everything quick so we don't get in the way between how fast you want to hire somebody. But the qualifications are very simple. We just want to make sure that the employer is registered here in the state, so they have a valid tax ID. These are our federal and tax-paying dollars that we're using. So again, we just do our checks and balances to make sure that the employer is a real employer. And we do that very quickly on our end by just obtaining some forms that you would fill out. But the turnaround time is rather quick. This is a monthly reimbursement, not a tax credit. And companies hate tax credits because you have to wait until the end of the year and all that good stuff. This is monthly. So once you pay the employees at the end of the month or within 30 days or so, we'll send you an email and say, hey, according to our records, these are the folks that you hired. Send me the check stubs or copy of the check stubs so we can do our math and reimburse you the amount that we agreed on. So we try to keep it simple because again, we want you to hire people that have potential, maybe not skill and experience, but if they have potential, we want you to take a chance on it.
Okay, that's awesome. So we have a question, and it says, what kind of stats do you have on individuals being placed in these positions and being successful doing these jobs? Are there stats?
Yes, actually, the stats are quite opposite of what you would expect. We have a 85% retention rate of 12 months or more. And the concept and the understanding is very simple if you think about it. If I've been applying like crazy to get a job that pays me more than $12, $13 an hour, if the only job that I could find is working, at a fast food place or doing simple jobs that are maybe considered dead end, and there's an employer who opens the door and says, I see a lot in you. I see that you have potential. Let me train you and let me mold you into somebody that can do X, Y, Z. Stats show, and just human nature will show, I'm going to be grateful and loyal to you because you opened a door that nobody else was willing to open for me. While everybody else was telling me that the only thing that I'm good for is to put stuff in a bag and just to sit there on a chair, you told me that I could do much more. Just hearing that alone will tell you, right, you're building loyalty, you're building trust with somebody because people won't forget who opens a door for you. So the stats show, and we have data for a couple of years where 85% of the people that we place in these programs will stay a minimum of 1 year. Now, we don't track much more than that. So it doesn't mean that they leave after a year. It means that people are staying a minimum of 1 year. And in today's times, that's quite remarkable.
For sure. And then I think you did mention this. And this program, how does it get its funding? Is it state funded or federally funded or a combination?
It's everything begins on the federal level. The feds distribute funds to all 50 states. All states are governed differently. Here in Texas, we have it, we're distributed by boards. So our board, or Gulf Coast region, we cover Houston, Galveston, Brazoria, all the counties that Anna had showed previously. So the funds are from the federal level to the state, and then they're given to the board. So these programs that I'm talking about, again, are available nationwide. They may be called differently, or they may have a little twist to it, but these are some things that are not just here locally. You could transfer these skills to anywhere you end up moving to, whether it's in the state or outside the state.
Thank you.
All right, so to wrap up the takeaways, whenever you're job searching, you're looking at a job posting, you always focus on the hourly wage and maybe the requirements. Look a little bit deeper and into the employer, I guess you could say employer benefit section of the job posting. Look for words that say registered apprenticeship. That means that you're going to get an education and credential as part of your job. So you're being hired, but at the same time, every hour that you're working counts towards a college credit. As funny and maybe different as that sounds, that is true. And that's how these programs work. I've been doing my line of work for over 10 years. I could have had a doctorate degree by now if I had a registered apprenticeship program where I work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But if you look at how long you've been working where you're at, have you earned a degree? Have you earned a credential just by working? Chances are you haven't, unless you've been in a registered apprenticeship. So look for those keywords in job postings. If you're helping a loved one, you're helping your child as they navigate the job search market. Look for those terms. Apprenticeship doesn't always mean registered apprenticeship, because apprenticeship is a very general term. It's something that focuses on hiring somebody with little to no experience. But registered apprenticeship is a Department of Labor. That's a federal term. And that's what means what we're talking about today. So today's training.
Let's take that a little bit further, because one of the things I think when you were talking about this in a previous webinar that I attended, the differences of why you may want a registered apprenticeship as opposed to a non-registered. There's a lot of laws and things that you're protected, and there's a lot of hard, fast rules that they have to follow in a registered apprenticeship. Can you just share the differences between registered and non-registered?
Obviously, yes, of course. So let's just say that I open a company today and I'm saying, this is an apprenticeship opportunity. I'm hiring anybody who would like to work in IT. So all I did was say apprenticeship. And that apprenticeship means you're an apprentice, you're a novice, you're entry level, that I'm willing to hire somebody who's an entry level person with no experience. So I'm taking you under my wing as an apprentice and I'm going to show you how to do the work. That's what apprenticeship means. Registered apprenticeship, the context behind it is that registered with the government, with the federal government, with the Department of Labor. So registered apprenticeship means that the employer has presented their curriculum to the Department of Labor. Department of Labor has looked over, has said, how about you add this? How about you add that? Let's work together. You create a curriculum. Within that curriculum, there's milestones. So the Department of Labor is telling the employer, after a certain amount of hours that this person has achieved this curriculum, give them a raise. After they've done X amount of hours doing this that you said you're going to train them on, give them another raise. So there's milestones that go into it. After they complete the curriculum, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever was developed, then they obtain a credential, which is the equivalent of your associates, your bachelor's, even your master's degree in that particular field or in that particular industry. So the word registered opens up a whole different type of world into that position or into that curriculum. Again, think back when we could just say in high school, you had first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, right? You got a report card. You integrate that type more or less into work to say after the first quarter, here's your report card. Congratulations, you're going to get a 35-cent raise because you met everything that we talked about. You got a great report card. Second quarter, here's your report card. You hit all the milestones that you were supposed to hit. Here's another raise. If you look back at our own careers, and myself included, how often have we got raised? Do we get raises every 3 months? Do we get raises every 6 months? Every 2 years? Registered apprenticeship has, I don't want to call it mandatory because this is a true partnership between Department of Labor and employers, but they're integrated into the curriculum where the people who are learning and who are working are hitting milestones and are being rewarded for these milestones. So it's a great question. I can go on and break it down, but registered apprenticeship means that it's officially been christened, approved by the Department of Labor.
Alrighty. Is that it, Crosby?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Okay.
waiting to see if there's any other questions, but
Questions?
Nope, I think we're okay on questions right now. So yeah, perfect. Thank you for explaining that. I know that the first time I heard this, I guess I was shocked and surprised. I know,
me too.
I'm a student of all things for individuals with disabilities, and I learned so much from this first time I listened to this, and so I hope that for those that are attending today, that this is helpful for you and learning some new things and takeaways that you didn't know. So we're definitely glad you're here. So Anna, take it away.
All right. Thank you again, Crosby. I know we had such a great response from our last presentation, and so I appreciate your help on this. Alrighty, so we will get into the employability tool that we've created. And this is still a work in progress. It started a few 6 or 7 months ago as an idea, and it has grown into a way that can really be useful and helpful to students, to parents, job seekers of all ages with different ability levels, and for employers as well. So what is it? It's going to be a little confusing, so we'll try and go by it step by step. But basically, it's labor market information from the Gulf Coast. We have an economist at Houston Galveston Area Council Workforce Solutions. And so he's been able to collect all of this data from all of our 13 counties, individuals and employers, matching ability levels with skill levels at a job site. It includes data for over 800 occupations, and that is over 41,000 pieces of data accessible to you, which is a lot, and that's where the confusing part can come in. On the spreadsheet, there are different tabs. There's one you can modify or filter everything by education level, so certification, high school diploma, no high school, doctorate, goes through each education level. It goes through occupation definitions. What are each of these 800 occupations exactly? And then the ability definition. So those 52 ability levels, there's a definition on that. So it gets very kind of nitty gritty, which can be a little overwhelming, but it's also great information for somebody who has, who you want to highlight their skill levels and match them to an appropriate work site. So this is a snapshot from, and it's on Google Docs, but this just kind of shows what it looks like, how it's arranged. This will be shared with the email that's sent out this afternoon, a link to it, and it's just broken down by occupation. It shows entry-level wages, and then it goes straight into the 52 ability levels. And it's on a scale. We'll talk about that in a second, but just so you can see what the screen would look like once you click the link. And on the bottom, you can see there the tabs where it goes through the education levels. And then there are so many tabs, you can only see the ability definition, but then there's also the ability level. I'm sorry, occupation definition is missing from there. Alrighty, so the disability employment tool, the reason why we thought to make it is because people with disabilities only represent about 20% of the labor market. So that is a problem and a huge gap for our economy, for our community, and for the people that have disabilities and want to work. Through this employment tool, we're able to show that there is a job career path for all people, no matter what ability or skill set level they have. We use the data to match with jobs that then match with the individual skill sets. We can use the data to find a work environment that is conducive for that individual. And we can also avoid jobs that require skill sets, abilities an individual does not have, or maybe an environment that's not conducive, like we said, for that individual. So it's a good way to kind of cross things off the list as well. And where is it? It's on the Google Drive. Alrighty, and how to use it and Go ahead.
And Anna, we're putting this out, so it's on the Google Drive. Remind me, aren't we going to send this in the attachment? Like we're going to send the spreadsheet in an attachment today, so you're getting the recording and the slides, but you're also going to get the tool in an attachment, so you can play around in the tool yourself. So that is happening today, right?
Yes.
Okay,
and we can
perfect.
send this survey out again as well, because we do want feedback. It is so much information. So if you are looking, maybe you're looking for something specific and you're not able to find it, please let us know, what would help you find it, or any barriers you might have. I guess.
And it says, will there be a copy of this PowerPoint? So yes, it's going to come in a PDF. We are going to send you a copy of the slides today. And like I said, and the tool. And when we did this the first time, this tool, you guys should know, I mean, this was kind of developed at the end of last year. And so when she says we're looking for feedback, truly it is a work in progress. And, Anna's worked really hard in putting this together for it to be effective, for your search and things like that, and kind of thinking through what kind of skill sets you have to have, how much schooling and all of those types of things. And through your feedback, then we can, she can make those improvements and things like that. So we definitely value that. So good point, Anna.
Yeah, and I definitely go in there and play with it. Sometimes maybe it's how much does somebody want to make? There's a website out there called Reality Check. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that, but that might be something you could put alongside with this. So kind of knowing how much you need to earn to, what are your living expenses going to be? And that can kind of help plan too. There are so many different occupations that I would think you should be able to find, the correct salary range or dollar amount per hour that you would need to make. Yes, so you would this is very, if you're familiar with Excel or, Google Docs, it's just like the same. So if you want to see what a definition is, you can actually click up here. There's a little orange triangle. So if you don't want to go to the tab on the bottom, but you want to know what oral comprehension is, you can just put the arrow over that and it'll show the definition right there. So we try to make it as easy and user-friendly as possible. Each skill level is on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 being the least amount of that skill level, to the 5 being the person has high skill level. So if somebody has, I'm looking at advertising, sales agents, oral comprehension, you would need a 4 out of 5. So you would need pretty good oral comprehension skills. That can be subjective. So that's something, that you'd have to really think about. What are the other skills that are needed within those skill sets for that occupation that you're looking at? All right. Any questions so far?
I think
Nope.
we're okay for
Okay.
right now. And then Jan put the Texas Reality Check in there, and that is a good one. I'm glad you brought that one up. That is really a good one to really take a look at. So if you're a parent and you're working with transitioning teens, it's a good one to show your teen and kind of work through, because all teens want to get out. And when they want to get out on their own and they don't have a real, concept of the real cost of that. So this is really good for that. And then, and if you yourself are saying, hey, look, I do want to get out, and you're trying to plan accordingly, that's what this is for. And it's real quick. It's not like something you have to plan your whole Saturday for. I mean, I think you can do it in like 5 minutes or less. It's pretty quick and great.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can see, yeah, I think those are a good combination. I just thought of that right now. So I'm excited to actually use them together. So the different job require different abilities. These are the abilities that are listed, or that they have, that we've created definitions for. Not created, they're standard definitions. And I've just highlighted some that I think that we might typically think of, or, that might be needed, or skill sets that we're seeing somebody has a high skill set level or maybe a lower skill set level. So things like comprehension, math skills, attention, time sharing, dexterity with their fingers, reaction time, different reasoning. So all of kind of a lot of the different processing levels as well. And through these different abilities, you know, they can form the best work environment for that individual. Okay. That's really it for as far as the tool goes, because really it's just about playing around with it. I could bring it up so we can see it in real time. Let me find it.
And then because we do have some time here today,
Yeah.
and I know that on a pretty regular basis, we talk about VR, we talk about summer earn and learn, we talk about pre-employment training services. Are you going to talk about those for those that are here that maybe don't know about the services that are free that they could be tapping into?
Yeah, I can. So if we go back to that cheat sheet for Texas Workforce Solutions, who we partner with, and really my main role is to promote services provided by Texas Workforce Solutions Vocational Rehabilitation. And this is actually the flyer for pre-employment transition services. These are services under VR that are have an easier eligibility requirement than trying to apply for full services of VR. For pre-employment transition services, there's just 3 requirements. There is an age, so between the ages of 14 and 22, you have to be in a school setting. And then you also have to have documentation of that disability. And the reason why these are different from their standard services as well is they're offered to a bigger variety of students with disabilities. So students under 504, you know, you don't necessarily have to be under the special ed umbrella. You don't have to be disclosed at school even, you just need that documentation. And it goes to schools, it could be college, private, public, homeschooling. And within these, there are 5 categories of services that fall under pre-employment transition services. So the first one is career exploration. This is really geared towards and serves more so for that younger age group, probably that 14 to 16-year-old group. And it's just learning what are the preferences of the individual, what are they thinking that they want to be when they grow up, what labor market information is out there, what are the jobs going to be like when you graduate, and then also just kind of just learning what the world of work means to that individual and exposing them and just getting everybody thinking about it. Then there is work-based learning. So this will be towards the end. You would take some work readiness training classes first, but this is the internship. This is where the summer earn and learn falls under. This is paid work experience. Summer earn and learn, they just sent out their flyer today. So they are up and running and ready to take applicants or referrals. And you can actually do that by this number on the bottom of this flyer. I'll share this as well as the summer earn and learn, and y'all can send that out too.
Okay, we will send that flyer. So for summer earn and learn, we're going to have that in our email that goes out to everybody today as well.
And
perfect.
This number down here that's highlighted, 832-681-2633. This is the regional office. So they actually are housed where we're housed at HGAC. And you call this number and they'll connect you with the correct office and the VR counselor that would be helping you either for your school or your student or yourself. And and
I just want to say too that we do have entire webinars on this exact topic with the pre-ed, summer earn and learn, and VR. and they live on our YouTube channel for free, so you can watch them. And it has all the numbers and the contacts. So if you're really wanting to educate yourself more about these programs and get signed up for them, it's basically who, what, where, when, why, how this works, and it's all out there. So you can find that, and you can find that for free. And the YouTube is in the chat box, and it will also be in the slides as well.
Awesome. Yes. And so, yeah, so Summer Earn and Learn, that is a 5-week internship with a max of 20 hours per week. And then the paid work experience, that's year round, and that's up to 12 weeks for 20 hours a week. The pay is $10 an hour. Also, if there are employers out there who would want to be a work site, please let me know, and I would be happy to connect you with the right people, because we're always looking for new work sites as well. So when you're finally out there engaging with employers, you've learned certain skills. And so before you do that, there's work readiness training. Those are the vocational adjustment training courses. There's way too many, I couldn't even name them all, but money management, all of the soft skills that everybody needs to learn about before going into the workforce. So money management out down to the basics of what do you need to do before you even go to work? Social media, you know, what things can damage your career path if you're posting certain inappropriate things maybe online or on your social media. Dressing appropriately, and then also communicating with coworkers, with your boss, things of that nature. Another category is self-advocacy, which also falls under vocational adjustment training, but they definitely want to highlight it in its own category because it is so important for individuals to learn how to plan for themselves and know when to ask for an accommodation, or when you don't need to disclose any disability at work, or how to disclose, and really setting up those goals. So starting, you know, maybe there's a 5-year plan, or this is where I want to go to college, and then after college I want to, you know, be a fireman, or who knows what you want to do. So just really getting individuals to think about themselves and creating goals for themselves. The last category is post-secondary education counseling. So this is just what it says. So this is counseling. This goes over maybe what applications an individual needs to fill out, if it's a certification program maybe versus a 2-year college versus a 4-year university. We do like to say for this post-secondary education counseling, it is only counseling. So there is no financial aid. You would have to apply for full services and talk to your counselor about
And when
that.
you say full services, you're meaning vocational rehab. And so basically, as far as the funding component of paying for licenses or paying for school or paying for something like that, that comes from the VR side of the house. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, these are all
Okay.
from VR. We just kind of partnered together. And if you needed, let's say, assistance with transportation funding, or something with your uniform, you'd have to apply for full services as well. So anything that's kind of that out-of-pocket expense, that's where you would do the full services. And that's going to be that, you know, that bigger application. There's I think
a lot more stuff you have to send in and stuff like that.
Correct. So if you can just start off, this is a 1-page application. So
this is easy. The other one is a little bit more difficult, but the other one is also very comprehensive too. So some of the webinars that we talk about, we're talking to families that are thinking about post-secondary education and where are we going and what are we doing and how are we going to get the accommodations that we need and stuff like that. So then the word testing comes up, updated testing and things like that. So that's on the other side of the house. That's the more comprehensive application where they do various types of testing depending on what the individual's needs are based off of the assessment. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes that testing, it could be a neuropsych testing. It could be a vocational evaluation. I think from my perspective, from the families that we've served, I've seen those be the most common, you know, a test for learning disabilities, a neuropsych, or the vocational evaluation. There may be others, but that's the side of the house where you get those, and those are covered by the program without an out-of-pocket expense to the families on that side of the house. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's kind of in a nutshell what pre-employment transition services are. I don't know how much time we have. Do y'all know about the self-referral for VR2? There's a new self-referral.
Let's tell us about that, because we know that you can get like a referral. You may have had a referral through for VR through your public school. That, you know, through the person that's assigned to the school. You may have heard, you know, from staff at the school that this exists, but there is a self-referral now. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So if we have anybody on here that is homeschooling, or they're not really in the public school because of the pandemic, whatever is going on, you can do this and not be in the public school. You could be in a private sector or anything else.
So, and this is new as of last summer. So this is, like Allison said, this is probably one of the easiest ways to get referred if you're unsure of who your counselor is at your school, or if you're having a hard time getting a hold of them, because this is, you're just going online, you're putting in your information. I think the turnaround time is usually about 48 hours, and they have seen an increase in customers. So it is working. People are utilizing it, and the response rate from what I've heard has been really good. So I'll share this as well. And I think the form, it's not like a long form either, so it's fairly quick. But this is a awesome new resource that they have.
And my experience is, again, it's not a long form. But then they'll do an intake assessment with you. You'll get assigned to a counselor, and then they're going to go over the long list of documents. I mean, basically, it's what you know. Do you have proof of disability? Are you already getting SSI? Do you have an award letter? Do you have the name, address, and phone numbers of your doctors? Do you have the dates that you were diagnosed? I mean, those are some of the things. So if you're kind of wanting to prepare for this or something, those are some of the basic things: a copy of an ID, maybe school records, maybe a copy of an IEP or a 504, things like that. So there is some data gathering that clearly a good scanner, a good computer, being able to download something is helpful to being able to upload these documents. But they go over with you. It's not like you have to have all those together for that intake assessment. They're going to go over with you exactly what they need. But the thing is what my experience is it could feel a little overwhelming. Like if you're not real organized from a computer perspective. But if they ask for these documents, these are the documents that they need to move forward with this process. So failing to get the information in that is needed will fail to move forward with VR. So that part of the step, even though it seems monotonous, it is a super important part of the step.
And that's really well said. And also, just to kind of piggyback on that, yeah, as much information as you have going into that assessment or any conversation, the quicker and the better, you know, you're going to get those services. Just every counselor, they have high caseloads. So so just know, you know, the more information you have, always better.
And for people that have scanning issues, or, you know, no access to a scanner or a fax, is that something where they could make an appointment or drop the documents off at the office or something like that if they're not having the capability to upload all of that stuff?
So I don't know if VR's anybody, but you could go to any Workforce Solutions office, make an appointment, and you can utilize all of our copiers, scanners, things like that.
We do have a question, and it's a good question. Thank you for asking that. Does my child have to receive disability benefits in order to qualify for services? That's more of a slam dunk, but the answer is no for that. You
Right.
just proof of diagnosis, like, you know,
Yes.
So we know if a person's getting disability benefits, we know that they're disabled, right? Because they don't just give those out to people that aren't disabled. So we know that part, but absolutely, you do not have to prove that. It's just one other simple way to prove, but proof of diagnosis. And basically in that webinar that I directed you guys on our YouTube channel, it has to, it's a disability that has led to an impediment to employment, right? And so that's basically what they're looking for. And they kind of explain that a little further. That was a really great question. And again, remember, it's from 14 to 22 ages, this, it kind of starts at. And most people are not getting disability at that point. They're not getting SSI and Medicaid. They make too much money because it's based off the parental income. So that's a thing as well.
Yeah. And I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, so you could even just use like the top of an ARD meeting or IEP, or if you have a 504 plan too. If you don't have an actual diagnosis or can't find it, but are wanting the pre-ed services, those are acceptable as well.
And if we can go back to the slides, because I think we have a few things right at the end for our contact stuff.
Oh, yes. Okay, hold on.
Thanks everyone for being here. I call some of our webinars the relentless pursuit of information, right? Somebody says an FIE from the school maybe too. Possibly any documentation that you have, any testing that you've done in the past, any IEP 504, any those kinds of things. Nowadays, you could log into your MyChart account with whatever hospital system your kid goes to, and they usually have an overview of diagnoses and things like that. You can get a letter from the psychiatrist, psychologist, other things like that as well. So we've got Anna and Crosby's contact information on here. And again, you guys are getting this, so you don't have to scribble this down really quick. And then if you can keep going, I think there may be a few more.
Oh, yes, sorry.
There we go. So from a Consolidated Planning Group, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this today, but we're a holistic planning firm. So what that means is we talk to families about having money in the right buckets to make sure that we protect those benefits, SSI, Medicaid, and we are nationally certified as Social Security advisors. And so we can help people in the journey of, where do I go from here? If we have somebody that's turning 18, what do you need to apply? When do you need to apply for? How do you apply for childhood disability benefits? We can go through all of that. And we also develop lifetime care plans. So if we have families on here that have an individual or a loved one with a disability that's going to need some level of care for the rest of their life, we're able to do future care calculations for that as well. So when we're planning, we can take that into consideration. Next slide, please. Yep. And yeah. So these are just some things. If you've been on our webinars before, we always have kind of a bullet point list of things that should be on your planning radar for special needs, things that are important. And basically, in the long and the short of it, we have webinars on every single one of these topics on our YouTube channel, so you can check it out. And again, you'll get this list, so you don't have to scroll them down. And for our next slide, I just want to take a moment to say, meet our team. Oftentimes on these webinars, I'm not always the only speaker, but oftentimes I'm the speaker, but I work on a collaborative team with some awesome individuals. So I always just like to put some faces with their names. So thanks for that. And then our very last slide, this is how you contact us and how you reach out to us. You can take a picture of this QR code, and that takes a link to where you can schedule with us individually for a phone or a Zoom consultation. If you have unique questions as it relates to your specific situation, we're happy to chat with you, and consultations are always free. So we've got our Facebook and our YouTube channel on there. And again, that will be in the email. Everything that we've talked about today is coming in the email, the recording, the slides, the tool, the spreadsheet that Anna talked about, and the summer earn and learn flyer. And then the last one is the kind of the explanation between Workforce Solutions and Workforce Commission and VR, kind of who does what, because there's a lot of confusion there. So I've got 12:59. So what I would like to say is, Anna and Crosby, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for putting this all together. It's a big deal, and this is something that weighs on us as parents all the time. And if you're an individual looking at this, it's because you want to work, and we're glad. And so be encouraged. There are jobs out here. There is help. There are services, and we want to help you. We want to help you get them for sure. So. Jan, Edie, thank you for having us again today, and we look forward to partnering with you in the future. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye now.